Let's talk today about exercises that you should probably be doing, but you maybe aren't doing them. I'm a PT. I also run online strength and endurance coaching, and there's a common thread that I see in a lot of programs and a lot of people that are missing. One of the first things, and this kind of goes full body here, one of the first things is our upper back rotation. This area of our upper back, like kind of our thoracic spine as a whole, it's meant to be our rotational part of our trunk. But we tend to get pretty stiff there. One, just through the day-to-day lives of like looking on your phone, of watching TV, sitting at our desk, driving. This area just gets a lot of stiffness. Another thing that causes stiffness in it is working our upper back. When you work the muscles around that, when you do any of your pull exercises, your bent over rows, your reverse flies that you're supposed to be doing, these exercises, they make muscles work, which is great. But whenever you make muscles work, you need mobility in those areas. And we miss a lot of things in that. One of the exercises that you should be doing is kind of a hands and knees rotation exercise. As you do this exercise, you're going to start on your hands and knees. You'll shift your butt back towards your feet. Then as you're reaching through and rotating, one arm stays straight, kind of your base stance arm stays more straight, and the other arm reaches through and that shoulder drops to the ground. As you do this, keep your butt shifted back. Don't shift your butt forward. If you do that, then what you're going to do is allow the rotation to happen more so in your low back than in your upper back. Whenever you flex your low back, this is what's called a lumbar lock, or it's that you're flexing it, and that when you flex it, mechanically, how the vertebrae kind of sit on top of each other is that it limits rotation. And so if you can't rotate there anatomically, mechanically, then what are you going to do? You're going to rotate the area that's next most available to rotate, which would be your upper back. But if you don't kind of lock that out, then you're going to rotate in your low back, which isn't going to help you with rotating in your upper back. Hence why you have to keep your butt back. You'll switch sides, do one side, and then do the other side. Kind of when we think about mobility for joints, for spine, because it's one joint sitting on top of another joint, is that we don't want to hold the movement too much. We just want to go there and then come back, and go there and then come back. It's not that we want to like really move through it quickly, but we don't want to just be like, oh, this feels great. I'm just going to stay here for like 30 seconds. No, like do it and come back with it. This next exercise, you might be doing it or you might not be. The area that helps our shoulders and our shoulder blades, whenever we're doing all the pulls, the overhead presses, the overhead moves, we need what's called the muscle that's called our lower trap to work with us. This muscle tends to get lost in a lot of our movements because it's small. It's a smaller part. Also, there's so many other muscles that will compensate or try to carry its load. And so we have to be super segmental and also decrease our load to make sure that we're actually getting this muscle to work and fire for us. And so we can strengthen it. If you try to use too heavy of a load for that muscle, then what's going to happen? The other muscles are going to be like, oh, this guy can't do it all. We'll come in to help and we'll do it all. And so what you have to do is lighten the load in this. You're going to be on your back or on your hands and knees, and we're going to be doing Y-type movement patterns. So like Y for YMCA, we're going to be doing the Y movements. This is also going to help with some of your shoulder mobility in this area because some of our shoulder mobility that's lacking is a lack of strength to maintain and get there. And so you're going to start on your back, you're going to grab a band, and you're just going to kind of pull up and out. You're going to lead the charge with your thumb, and then you can either keep that thumb back or you can end with your thumb kind of facing you like this. And so as you're holding it, you're going to go back and forth like that. As you're doing this, I want you to think almost like there's a pulley coming from this lower trap region, and it's pulling your shoulder blade kind of down and also rotating it as it's going because it's pulling on more so the inside part here. And so if we think about a triangle, if we pull on the inside part, that pulls it down but also rotates it up. Part of the reason why you need this muscle to work for you is that upward rotation and that downward force. what this does is it keeps your upper trap from working too much. It also, why we have our shoulder blade and why we need its movement is to move and bring the socket so it can face the ball at all times. And so at the end of our shoulder blade, we have a socket, and then we have our ball that's on top of that sits into that. And there's our ball and socket joint. As we raise our shoulder up, the socket needs to shift and face upward as well to be able to meet and face the ball. If we don't, then that's when we get more rotator cuff issues. It rides up into the actual, like, this bone that you see coming out here. It rides up into that guy and kind of smushes one of our rotator cuff muscles. And depending on where you are, it can smush other ones. That's why also this acromion process, that's what it's called, that bone is, it forms a beak if you have too much going on there, hence more rotator cuff issues there. And so if we work on this upward rotation of your shoulder blade, it helps tremendously with all of your overhead lifts, makes it where you can actually get into that movement and also get that full range of motion that you're looking for when you're doing those overhead movements. You can also do this transitioning onto your hands and knees and going into that Y. You'd be surprised at how much load you may not need for this exercise. Last but not least, we have kind of our lower core exercises. And these can be so many different ones. One of the ones that I like is just a leg reach out whenever you are laying on your back and understanding where your back is in space, how to keep your trunk still as you move your legs out back. Also making sure that this is working your core, your lowermost core. Also, it's going to work your upper core too, but just not quite as much. And as you reach that leg out and back and out and back, this is kind of going into sort of like a hollow hold area, but it's making it where you understand the movement mechanics. Most people will start to do this. They're going to reach out too far. They're going to feel it more so in their quads and their hip flexors, and they're not going to feel it in their back, or they're not going to feel it in their abs as much. They may also feel it in their back as well. As you do this and you do that leg reach out and back, this is where you keep your trunk still with your abdominal muscles, and that's what you're supposed to be working more so. If you find that you feel these other areas working, try to not bring your leg out quite as far. Use a wall to help you kind of stay and not push that limit of reaching. And this will help you tremendously with any low back stuff, hip stuff, and will also give you those understanding of what you're supposed to be doing to keep your back still. And will help you a lot with your deadlifts and your squats too. I hope that these were helpful for you. If you like this, hit the subscribe button, give me a like or a comment, and I hope you add these to your workouts. Bye, y'all.